Okay, I knew this. I mentioned it in almost all my videos, my posts. I always mention and doing in the public interest. It's the preamble, the rules of professional conduct. So I put in there is doing what's in the public interest. A legal mandate, a legal requirement. Is doing what's in the public interest a legal requirement? So you can Google that yourself. Okay. So I got the AR overview, so I'm going to read it to you. Okay, this is the constitutional crisis that we're having. Okay, is it legal and it is a legal and ethical requirement for public officials to act in the public interest, meaning their actions must be for the welfare of the general public, not private gain. The obligation involves performing duties and exercising powers in a way that serves the public interest, and failure to do so can result in legal and ethical consequences. While in definition the public interest can be flexible, there is a strong and legal moral expectation that those in public service will partake. There is a strong legal and moral expectation that those in public service will prioritize it. The legal and ethical mandate, okay? I get this out of all the stuff I read, so the legal and ethical mandate, public officials have an overreaching obligation to act in the public interest and place loyalty to the Constitution and laws above private gain. Not doing this is violating the oath, and there's penalties for violating the oath. Professional obligation for public administrators serving the public interest is a fundamental professional and moral obligation. Legal sanctions. Courts can enforce ethical standards through legal sanctions ensuring compliance with public interest. What the public interest entails. Public welfare. It is defined as the welfare of the well-being general public and society, prioritizing the collective good. Google, what does the Constitution say about the greater good? Prioritizing the private good. Actions should transform personal and private interest into public good and prioritize the public's need. Let me reiterate that actions should transform personal and private interest into public good and prioritize the public's needs. Exercising discretionary powers. Public officials must use their discretionary powers in ways that promote the public interest relevant to their official functions. Consequences for not acting in the public interest. Legal action. Public officials can face legal sanctions if they fail to uphold their ethical duties. Ethical violations. Acting against the public interest can result in ethical violations. Google where to file ethics violations for whoever you feel is, being unethical. Loss of trust as a public service is a public trust. Remember, I told you, look up the public trust doctrine. The public, when they mention the public trust, they're talking about the public trust doctrine, the public trust fund. Okay. Loss of trust as a public service is a public trust. The legal system is part of that public trust. Failing to act in the public interest can erode public trust in the institutions. Google, what does the Declaration of Independence say about usurpations? Okay. Okay, so there's a lot to be said about what should be done in the public interest. Okay. I just gave you the short and curlies. So if you want, reach in there and, grab your politicians by the baby maker. There scary. See, I post all these laws, and I've been using them, and they keep me safe, But when I confront, anybody in the political system, the legal system, personally, they walk away. Like you've seen those videos that I posted of all those other people. I walked through some, a few laws, quite a few laws. Nobody has anything to say, especially that one guy in family court. My God, he's ferocious. He's a beast. But see, nobody can contradict him because he's throwing all these laws that I posted. He knows he can't use all of them, but he goes through all of them anyways. But he knows a lot of them he can use. In his case, in any case, in every case, in any court of law, in any state, whether it be state or federal. Remember, not doing this is also violating the rule of law. Okay. I talked to you about the penalties for violating the rule of law. If loss of life was included, they could face the death penalty. Okay, but, this is just the tip of the iceberg, if you will. So, you want to get all the way to the bottom of that iceberg, okay? To keep myself safe, I had to learn a lot of stuff. And some people witnessed me in the courtroom and said I was lucky. I wasn't lucky. I know things. For me, knowledge not shared is a waste. And I can't give this to you. You have to take it. Understand your constitutional rights are not a given, they're earned. Those promises they're not promises. The only way you'll get through this is if you have the legal knowledge to make an informed decision before giving informed consent. And informed consent is a legal requirement before anything can proceed in a court of law. Also with this, when they I know what the public wants. No, they don't. Did you give informed consent for some of this ridiculousness they're doing? Think about those tax codes in the big, beautiful bill. Everybody's against that. How is that in the public interest? How is that not in self-interest? How is that meeting the needs of the many? No, that's meeting the greed of the few, which is totally illegal, folks, okay? Totally illegal. So open your mouth, call your politicians, go over, the legal and ethical requirements of public officials to act in the public interest. Just read it to them. That's all you got to do. Make your own videos. All the content that I post. I may own the videos, but what I talk about, it's all over the net. So just go on the net and talk about it. You want content? Let's go to the Constitution and talk about your birthrights. Talk about those shattered dreams. Talk about those shattered dreams and broken promises. It's time they live up to the oath. And it's time we hold them accountable. I can't do it alone. I've been at it with your public officials for a very long time, and not just in my state. There's other people I've helped, and I'm trying to help, but I need your help. You may not be a public servant, but need I remind you, when you took the Pledge of Allegiance, you didn't just pledge allegiance to the flag. You definitely didn't pledge allegiance to the government. Your public servants, they pledge allegiance to you. You didn't pledge allegiance to a political party, a politician. You pledged allegiance to we, the people. What they took from one, they took from all. What they took from me, they took from we. And this is why I say this. This is why I do what I do. I've been warned, I've been threatened, until the last day comes when I draw my final breath and close my eyes for the last time. I'll always do what's in the public interest. And do my best to maintain the public trust. Familiarize yourself with the law as well as I have. Maybe one day, as a nation, we can live up to our creed, that all are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Amongst these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's why you are where you are. Shattered dreams and broken promises. Hold them to the letter of the law, folks. Remember, there's penalties for violating the letter of the law. I did a video on that. And like I said, if death is included, they can get the death penalty. I'm not promoting violence, or I just review the law, okay? I've been doing this for a long time. I'm tired. I'm old. I'm weak. I fell down. I hurt myself. I'm handicapped. So stuck in my chair for a while. So I've been posting a few things. I really need your help. This is Pops at Legal Reform. Remember, Pops isn't my name. It's what I do. Protect our peoples. And I need more. I need your help protecting our peoples. All of them. Thank you and good night.